It's about that time, baby, baby. Oh, yeah. Here we go, here we go.
The Sinclair Show is on.
It is on.
Run it with your friends, come on.
Come on, come
So this
on.
a moment of the show tonight. Mailbag is tight. Sinclair is on the mic.
Once again, it's on. You're still troubled in your home. Got your tripping, don't know right from wrong. Send your letters to the show so we can talk you through. Get the answers to your questions because we speak that truth. Sometimes you doubt yourself, lost your health. Faith is on the fence, but you believe that Jesus knows your wealth. Keep it moving, spirit flowing, because we're here to provide someone to lean on when you're falling. Wednesday, 8 and 9, and it's on. Once again, it's on. You're listening to the only morning show when people at night. That's right. It is the Sinclair Show coming to you live and direct. People, we back. Holidays is over. Well, until another few days come through, then we're going to be on that other holiday time. But first and foremost, I want to thank all of you all who continue to send your mailbag questions, comments, whatever it is, your thoughts, opinions, and views that you want to talk about with Uncle Cindy Sin. Because without you, I could be back there resting. I could be chilling. I could be outside the lab. But you all are the valued listeners. That right there is what's important. So anyway, anyhow, we're going to talk about some things tonight. There's been a lot going on in the last few weeks. We got first one on the map is James Key. What's going on, big dog? Hope you're feeling a lot better these days. But anyway, people, so we're going to talk about some things tonight that to put your mind in a perspective about what's going on around you and me. That's right. So I want y'all to be clear now. Some of y'all is in a good mood. Some of y'all in a good mood right now. I've been seeing some of the craziest stuff. I'm going to tell y'all about it. I'm going to pick some spots throughout the show to tell y'all about some of the crazy stuff I have seen, heard, / experienced since I've been away. But, there's Detective Pamela Black. Glad to see you. But I just want to let y'all know that, things are in the real world today are elevating, escalating, and some of y'all are sitting back here acting like you blind to the facts. So first and foremost, let's begin tonight with talking about, and if you saw the beginning parts of what was posted, we talked about it was going to be the state of America, the nation, and the state. So first, I'm going to pick a state. And the state we're going to talk about tonight is in North Carolina, although we might teeter in there from time to time. We're going to start off talking about Georgia. Georgia. Because the long term, probably one of the longest trials in America has fizzled its way to an end, and that is the YSL trial down there in Georgia. Now, let me tell y'all, the YSL trial was, for those of you who had been under a rock or just got tired of hearing about it, was about the Fulton County District Attorney had made a vow when she ran for office that she was going to clear out the crime on the street. She was going to get rid of some of the gang activity. She was going to find out who was out there selling drugs / depending on where you from. I'm from the country, so we don't say drugs all the time. We say dope. And don't act like y'all don't, in some of y'all areas, y'all don't use that same slang or vernacular, if you will. But anyway, and so she made this vow, I'm gonna get rid of some of this stuff. And one of the things that she had vowed to a particular family was there was an individual who was shot and killed, and she made it her business that I'm going to get to the bottom of it. I'm going to get you justice. And it was alleged to have been, well, I don't even have to say alleged anymore, because he certainly um, pled guilty to some things, and that is the rapper known as Young Thug. Now, let me begin by saying this. If your stage name, well, his real name was Jeffrey Williams, but he called himself Young Thug. And Young Thug and approximately 28 of his homeboys had allegedly been a part of something called the YSL gang. Now, trust me, young people, let me tell you what I learned along the way. Don't be out here talking about you want to be a part of a gang. Now, I did learn from watching this trial, and that's why sometimes you gotta put your mind in a place where you want to absorb information. Me, I'm a critical thinker, so I like to get me a couple of pieces of information from time to time. I found out it is not illegal to be in a gang. I heard the judge say it myself. He said it is not illegal to simply be a member of a gang. So for all y'all out there saying that it is, it's not. However, to my young whippersnippers, it is exactly illegal to be a member of a gang and be committing crimes in furtherance of the gang. All right. And so Fulton County District Attorney had alleged that the YSL Young Thug led gang was out there in them ATL streets doing everything from vandalizing to homicide to slanging that dope, if you will. And so she decided to press the gas on them, which began a process that had Young Thug and his cohorts, some of them in jail for nearly 2 years, if not more. And so along the way, there was some of these rappers that was involved and some of these other associates, we'll call them, that pled guilty. And we're going to start right there. And I'm going to tell y'all what I learned along the way. So it says the YSL trial, this dude on the trial name was Yak Gotti, was found not guilty of anything. Shannon Stillwell was found guilty on only one charge. And the charge he was ultimately, it wasn't the RICO charge. It was a Fulton County jury has reached a verdict for 2 defendants who did not take the plea deals in the Young Slime Life trial. That's what YSL stood for, Young Slime Life. And let me tell y'all something. When you want to pick to be in a gang or a group or a crew, stop picking names that's likely to get you locked up anyway. But I digress. So the jury found DeMonte Kendrick, whose rap name is Yak Gotti, not guilty on all the charges. And the jury found Shannon Stillwell guilty on only one charge for possessing a firearm by a convicted felon. Stillwell was sentenced to 10 years maximum with credit for 2 years he already served. The balance will be served on probation. Now think about this. First and foremost, this brother was a convicted felon hanging out in a rap group called Young Slime Life. And even though he was accused, the initial charges was RICO, money laundering, drug selling, all kind of stuff. He is convicted on possession of a firearm by a convicted felon and was sentenced to 10 years max with credit for 2 years he already served, and he has to do 8 years on probation. Now, what that tells me is we are likely to see him at some point back in a courtroom. Because anytime you give somebody who is hanging out with gangs or crews that are accused of certain types of things, 8 years probation is an eternity. Now, for those of y'all that don't understand, your boy Young Thug, Jeffrey Williams, He took a plea deal to walk out and not take a chance with the jury. And I believe he got 20 years, but got to go home based on the 2 years and be on probation for 15 years. And he got banned from the ATL except for going to see a close relative at the hospital, a graduation, or something else. People, listen to me. For those who say these guys got off easy, yeah, from what they could have gotten, but it is very, very difficult for anyone to be on probation for 8, 10, 15 years. That means you can't get caught up in anything in this time, or you're going back to jail to do all of your time in most cases. Why is that important? That's important because there was one of these guys, as we just read, DeMonte Kendrick. He got found not guilty of anything. So he good to go. So the question I ask is this: was taking the plea deals the right choice to make for the other members of the crew? Gunna, first of all, again, check these names that you're giving yourself. If you can't be a good rap artist without calling yourself Gunna, all types of murderous names, you're probably going to wind up in some type of altercation of some sort. But a lot of people are saying that Young Thug himself should not have taken the plea deal. I disagree. And the reason why I disagree is this: while Stillwell only got convicted of one charge and the other gentleman didn't get convicted of anything, part of the reason why they probably did not get found guilty is because you started off with 28 and wound up with only 2 people in the courtroom, neither of which the prosecutor was accusing of being the mastermind. If there had still been 16 people in that courtroom as defendants, I believe they all would have gotten major time. And I think what happened was Young Thug's lawyers, along with him, as a matter of fact, he went against what his lawyers said. His lawyers were like, look, man, I think we can beat it. He was like, man, I ain't taking no chance. So he made his own deal. A deal that worked for him, that got him from going to jail for 20 plus years. But there are some people who will challenge it. None of that makes sense. None of that matters. The whole point that I'm making to you all, and this is more about young people that's out here right now. Let me say this as I look into the camera. What we witnessed with this trial, with a RICO trial, most of y'all may not even know what RICO means. That's racketeering, criminal act. And when they put a RICO charge on you, there is almost always going to be either guilty pleas or verdicts. You don't want to wind up on a RICO charge. Let me tell you what we found. Everybody was solid at the beginning. Everybody. Rock solid. We down. We on the same crew. We committing crimes together. We doing all. But the moment that they start throwing them time limits up, and you got to remember this, young people, everybody in your crew don't have 0 on their background. Some people got some small charges. Some people got some big charges. All that comes into play because it does a person stand, as you all say, solid when somebody is looking at 100 years. 100 years is a long time. I don't care who you are. That means whatever age you are today, even if that age is 1 year old, if you get 100 years, you're talking about, I ain't talking about life. Let me make it clear. Life in most places is 40 years. If you get a numerical term such as 100 years, you're going to do at least 60 of them. So stop choosing to be out here base rolling and high rolling, talking about you down and I represent and I stand solid. I'm 10 toes. As look, I got a little partner. She love to say, I stand on business. Let me tell you who don't stand on business. People looking at anything greater than 5 years do not stand on business. They stand on plea deals. And why is that important to you, young person out there that's hanging out with your crew? The person in the car with you right now, rolling up a blunt, is not going to be standing 10 toes down. Okay? I just want you to process what I'm saying. What's going on, Cassandra? Glad to see you. I want you to process exactly what I am saying. The person sitting in the car with you right now, helping you roll up a blunt, is not going to stand solid when they put them RICO charges on them. The person who is pulling their ski mask down at the same time you pulling your ski mask down is not going to stand on business when they start putting them numerical numbers make all hard folks get weak. Now, people going to say, well, out of the 28, Shannon Steelwell stood on business. Nope. They wasn't offered the same type of deals. So, first and foremost, be mindful of that. You cannot do the time. You're not that tough. I'm just saying it. I'm not knocking none of you young cats out there that's you thundercats that's out there in them streets. Y'all tough as nails out there on Freedom Trail, but you are incapable of doing 25 years or more. Don't fool yourself into thinking that you are. And while there are, oh, yeah, there go my mama. Hey, mama. And I want y'all to process what I'm saying, because I'm not up here trying to clown young people. I'm just saying, we watched a trial that took almost a year there where we saw at least 15 people who took plea deals. And you all are talking about, I want to be a part of this type of crew because I want to be a part of a gang because that's my family. We ride together. We commit crimes together. We all chips in. Nobody, and I mean nobody, is all chips in when they start handing out them multiple day sentences. Meaning, the average person, let me say this. The average person that never been to jail can do 11 months, 29 days, because that means they probably going to do 6 months. On their first jail time, you got to go in. You got some people that done been to jail before, not career criminals. They might can do 36 months because then they doing maybe a year and a half. But make no mistake about it. When a judge starts presenting time that is greater than 5 years, people start twitching and acting a little funny. So don't think the person next to you is your real homie. It just depends on what he got going on at home. It was folks selling each other down the river. And matter of fact, let me rewind. I don't even want to call it selling down the river. Because let me say this. There were some people who were part of the organization known as YSL. And since they called it a gang in the courtroom, hey, I'm going to say it was a gang that never committed a crime. Now, Gunner, entertainer, he said he never committed a crime. The prosecutor never accused him of committing a real crime. They said he was a member of the organization, and therefore they believe that he probably did something. But let me say this to you, people, young folks especially. If we down with each other, and I know you ain't commit a crime, I'm not going to let the prosecutors put no time on you. I'm going to go and clear you out the way. Hey, look, Jay Dizzle ain't had nothing to do with this. He wasn't with me when I committed it. I'm not going to even, if I'm really your boy, I'm not going to let you do no time for me. And that's what y'all get it wrong at. Y'all think the street code is, if you roll with us, you stand 10 toes down. If you get 10 years, I'm going to make sure I take care of your family while you locked up. Nope, I don't need you to take care of mine. I'm going to be free because I'm telling on you. I got a rule of thumb. I give you 24 hours for you to confess to what you did if I ain't got nothing to do with it. Now, let me say as a matter of principle, if me and you committing a crime together and we both get caught, I'm not saying a word. I'm going to do my time. I'm going to stand 10 on it. Because I knew when I started doing the crime with you that there was a possibility that we weren't going to outsmart the authorities and that one day we might get caught. I'm supposed to do my time because I committed a crime. But if you really got a homie, somebody that's supposed to be, as y'all say, that's my man's right there. If he your man, why would he allow you to do some time for him? And then be telling you, don't worry about it. We're gonna make sure you good. We're gonna take care of your family. We're gonna put some money on your books. Nope, I don't need a book provider. I'm good. I'm free. Because they gonna know the entire story. And I'm gonna tell it to the jury looking at you. Look, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, he did it. I was there. Didn't even know he was gonna do it. He told me we was going to Sonic. I thought we was going to get some tater tots. And what happened? Next thing you know, he was out here pistol whipping somebody and jumping in the car talking about drive. I was nervous. I just saw him knock somebody else across the head. So, hey, I ain't had my gun on me, so I ain't know what to do. I just drove off. The end. That's how the story gonna go. So you don't want to do no crime with me. I do my time, but I'm not going to do your time. And stop letting people confuse you by saying, if you really down with us, you won't say a word. I shouldn't have to say a word. You should be speaking up for me if you my mans. You should never let me have to sit in jail if you know for a fact I ain't had nothing to do with it. And that's what we saw in this YSL trial. Some people say it was a waste of the taxpayers' money. Some people are looking at the prosecutor, the district attorney, and saying, oh, man, she wasted their money. She was on a witch hunt. No, she did not. And I ain't even a real fan of Fonnie Willis, whatever her name is. But she did exactly what the district attorney's job is. It's to prosecute crimes, period. It's just that simple. For everybody who says, and this is everybody in the black community, my brothers and sisters, let me say this to you. Stop assessing that nobody is supposed to hold your sons, your daughters, or you accountable for being out here in these streets, pushing drugs, doing gang activities. If it is a district attorney, that's what their job is, to prosecute people committing crimes. Now, all of a sudden, we run around talking about they ain't down with black folks. No, they're not down with criminals. Y'all around here talking about, I didn't vote for it. You should have. She did exactly what she told you she would do. She would attempt to clean up the streets. There is no doubt, based on those individuals who pled guilty to certain crimes, that they were out committing certain crimes. They got them on video. They was telling on each other. They gave a dude a plea deal. What was his name? Woody? Whatever his name was. He admitted. We went over there and shot up the place. In retribution. Some of these individuals took the stand because of the type of deal that they had, and they testified up to the crime they committed. So Fonnie Willis didn't do wrong. Matter of fact, Fonnie Willis trying to hit home runs. She the same one got Donald Trump hemmed up in that paperwork, to which that guy is going to escape that part of it probably. Although that is a state charge, he just can't. I don't know. That's a whole different story. But I said all this to you, and we're talking about it tonight because I need young people to pay attention to what I am saying. And I need you parents of young people to do more than sit around and act like your son or your daughter ain't out here and then get mad when law enforcement takes the action that they are sworn to take, which is to stop crimes. If you are raising a criminal, stop being mad when somebody else who raised a police officer, when the two collide. Only in the black community do I see places where we are anti-police, but we not anti-crimes. I'm not talking about to the person that's sitting at their house, the person who claimed they got glaucoma and they smoking them some weed. And probably 30 out of all the states, 30 of them probably got you can smoke weed. I'm not talking about weed. Some of you have raised natural born killers. Some of you have raised children who are destined to break the law. They've been doing some type of violation your whole entire life. They just turned from little criminals into big criminals. And you're mad because somebody that used to play cops when they was a little kid turned into a real police officer, and somebody who used to play robbers when they was a little kid turned into a big criminal, and now they're playing the real life game of cops and robbers. Your son or your daughter gets caught. Next thing you know, they're on the news in Georgia or any other state with a Fonnie Willis, the person who used to play an attorney probably when she was a little girl, turned into one, and now she is pushing to enforce the law. Stop turning against law enforcement for enforcing laws that you know your sons, your daughters, your sisters, your brothers are out here in these streets committing the crime. I'm not telling you to not love your little convict / criminal. I'm just saying stop protesting that, oh, somebody did my son and daughter wrong. I saw the parents of these young men outside in front of the courthouse talking about justice was served. Now, let me say this to you. Was justice served? Uh-oh, there go my armor bearer. Hello, Essie Shepherd, how art thou? But I want you to understand what I'm saying. You got parents outside talking about justice was served because my son wasn't convicted. Justice was served because my son is able to go home even though he was convicted of being a convict who had a weapon. Some of y'all is out here in these streets really on one. Anymore, what's going on? Glad to see you. And I'm saying these things because I want y'all to switch gears. Get your mental game together and stop acting like just because you love that criminal you raised doesn't mean that they didn't commit the crime. Yeah, that right there. You know what? I'm going to stop talking about this because some of y'all on the emotional low. But I just wanted y'all to understand that that long-standing trial is now over. And at the end of the day, what was supposed to happen, happened. Some of them won, some of them lost. Everybody lived to roll another day. But for those individuals who are on those long-term probations, I'm willing to bet you a portion of my salary that they will certainly be returning to jail. I would dare to say they will be in a courtroom within 5 years. Anybody that wants to take me up on that offer, shoot me a text message. I'll put about $1,000 on it. I'll put $1,000 on it. They'll be in the courtroom in 5 years or less. Anybody want to take me up on that offer? But now we got to go to the next subject. And I'm not even going to call the person's name who sent this in to me because they are a Donald Trump supporter. And they wanted me to talk about Joe Biden. And so I began to look at the perspective and prism of what they sent me. And I'm going to read it to you. It is twofold. First and foremost, let me read y'all. I want to read it straight from what they sent it to me because some of y'all be in your feelings. All right. It says, this was President Joe Biden explaining why he took the steps to pardon his son. The pardon read this: executive grant of clemency for Joseph R. Biden Jr., President of the from Joseph R. Biden Jr., President of the United States of America, to whom all these presents shall come, greeting. Be it known that this day I, Joseph R. Biden Jr., President of the United States, pursuant to my powers under Article 2, Section 2, Clause 1 of the Constitution, have granted unto Robert Hunter Biden a full and unconditional pardon. All right? He said, for those offenses against the United States which he has committed or may have committed or taking part in during the period from January the 1st, 2014 through December the 1st, 2024, including but not limited to all offenses charged or prosecuted, including any that have resulted in convictions by Special Counsel David C. Weiss in docket number 123-CR00061-MN in the United States District Court for the District of Delaware, and docket number 223-CR00599-MCS1 in the United States District Court for the Central District of California. In testimony whereof I have hereunto signed my name and caused the pardon to be recorded with the Department of Justice, done at the city of Washington this first day of December in the year of our Lord 2024, and of the independence of the United States the 249th. Now, Chris Parks, what's going on? Glad to see you. Robin Williams, what's going on? Now, I'm telling you all this, and one of my Republican listeners, and I am thankful for all of my compadres out here, that was the pardon. And they sent it to me. And we're going to talk about it. Here's what Joe Biden himself said after issuing the pardon. He said, today I signed a pardon for my son, Hunter. From the day I took office, I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision-making, and I kept my word even as I have watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted. Without aggravating factors like use in a crime, multiple purchases, or buying a weapon as a straw purchaser, people are almost never brought to trial on felony charges solely for how they filled out a gun form. Those who were late paying their taxes because of serious addictions, but paid them back subsequently with interest and penalties, are typically given non-criminal resolutions. It is clear that Hunter was treated differently. The charges in this case came about only after several of my political opponents in Congress instigated them to attack me and oppose my election. Then a carefully negotiated plea deal by the Department of Justice unraveled in the courtroom, with a number of my political opponents in Congress taking credit for bringing political pressure on the process. Had the plea deal held, it would have been a fair, reasonable resolution of Hunter's case. No reasonable person who looks at the fact of Hunter's case can reach any other conclusion than Hunter was singled out only because he is my son. and that is wrong. There has been an effort to break Hunter, who has been 5.5 years sober, even in the face of unrelenting attacks and selective prosecution. In trying to break Hunter, they've tried to break me, and there is no reason to believe it will stop here. Enough is enough. For my entire career, I followed a simple principle. Just tell the American people the truth. They'll be fair-minded. Here's the truth. I believe in the justice system, but as I have wrestled with this, I also believe raw politics has infected this process, and it led to a miscarriage of justice. And once I made this decision this weekend, there was no sense in delaying it further. I hope America will understand why a father and president would come to this decision. Now, first and foremost, let me say this. I feel a certain way because I am conflicted. I am conflicted because I believe Joe Biden, the president, is within his power yet wrong. I believe that Hunter is not guilty. I believe that Hunter, though he probably was going through an addiction, I believe Hunter himself did the same thing that Joe Biden is accusing his opposition of doing. Hunter used the fact that he was the son of Joe Biden to further the acts that he is accused of. I do believe this. So I believe that the part that I struggle with Joe Biden isn't the pardon. I believe that he is wrong for doing it in a manner and justifying it by saying the only reason why. What up, Jay Dizzle? I believe that where Joe Biden is wrong about the pardon is saying that the reason why Hunter Biden received whatever he received in terms of treatment was because he was his son. Let's be clear. Hunter Biden was out there wilding out. That he was. They just could not prove everything. And so, Chris said presidents now have unfeathered power to do almost anything they want to do. He shouldn't have explained it. Now, Chris, you know what? There's a part of you that is right. I believe he had to when you start saying, I'm a pardon my son. But let me tell you, again, I'm not mad about the pardon because I'm mad that Joe Biden, the president, gave us the excuse that he gave. Now, Joe Biden, the father, who happens to be the president, I would have pardoned Xavier too. I'd have been like, man, I don't care what Xavier did. Xavier could have been a serial killer. I'd have been like, let him go. Send him to Hawaii. Not Hawaii, but I'm just saying, let him go. But you can't fool the American people, and you can't stand by and say how ridiculous Donald Trump is in some of the things he do, and then come up and try to trick the American people by saying, oh, they just were after Hunter because he's my son. If Hunter hadn't have been out there wilding out, they wouldn't have had Hunter hemmed up in anything. Hunter was betting on the fact that you are who you are and you were where you were, that he wouldn't have to face the music. Hunter did not come forward and just go to confessing. Hunter made them chase him down. And so them going after him, I don't have a problem with it. And Joe, I don't have a problem with you giving the pardon as the father. Okay? James said they already had been fooled with the new president. And understand what I'm saying. As a father, I'd have did the same thing. But I'd have came out and said, I am the president of the United States. Y'all just told Trump if he kills somebody and he's the president, there's nothing wrong with it. I have the power to pardon. I don't care if my son was guilty of a million things. Today, I'm washing his slate. If you ain't mad at Trump, Don't be mad at me. That's how I would have came out with it. Chris said it was politically motivated. If Joe wasn't the president, they would have let it go. Chris, that may be true, but I can't give it to you. I can't give it to you because you don't get to complain about the things that Donald Trump does and how the system is broken when it's him doing it, and turn around and say that the only reason why they went after Hunter is because who his dad was. Hunter actually committed the crimes. Now, would they have let somebody else go? Possibly. But we can't act like Hunter didn't break the law. We just don't have to be mad at Joe Biden for giving him a pardon, because we just heard America say that Trump could do whatever he wanted to do as president. Joe is following exactly what they said, but make no mistake about it. I'm insulted by Joe Biden giving me the song and dance that as if Hunter was somehow a victim. Nobody told Hunter to get out there and be making them pay for play deals. Nobody told Hunter to get out there and get high as a kite and be out there doing all kind of stuff. Nobody told. You know how many Negroes is in jail right now for the same thing Hunter Biden did? A lot of them. And Joe Biden did not. Now, if I was Joe Biden, I would have looked up every person accused of what Hunter Biden has done. And if they were convicted in a federal court, I would pardon them all. Give me a list of them. I don't care if it's 10,000 of them. I'd have let them all go. Because the problem is, if you believe that the crimes Hunter Biden committed are not that serious, then why you didn't let everybody go? James said Trump pardoned a guilty man his first term. I don't want y'all to misinterpret what I'm saying. I don't care if it's Donald Trump, Joe Biden, or any other president. They have the authority. I have read it for myself. They are authorized to pardon anyone of any federal crime. So I don't have a problem with Trump letting guilty folks go, and I don't have a problem with Joe Biden doing it. I have a problem with the fact that Joe Biden even came out with that senseless excuse. You didn't owe anybody an excuse. You should have just said, matter of fact, let me tell y'all what he could have said. Now, y'all rock with me on this. This is if I'm Joe Biden. If I'm Joe Biden and I just pardon, first of all, I probably wouldn't even told nobody. Y'all have been reading about it in the news. But if I ain't want to seem like I was scared to go to the public with it, all I would have said was, to all that may read this, be it known that this day I, Joseph Biden Jr., the President of the United States, pursuant to my powers under Article 2, Section 2, Clause 1 of the Constitution, have granted a full and unconditional pardon to Robert Hunter Biden, period. And that would have been it. That's all I would have did. It's not what he did. It's the fact that you're going to try to make me think that they had no business going after Hunter when Hunter admitted the evidence was there. He committed the crime. Hunter was not a victim. Hunter was a criminal who happened to have a famous father and did not just come forward in the beginning. Let me see what Chris said. Chris said, how many people were convicted for like charges and sentenced to prison? They didn't price the pay for play. Oh, he's saying they didn't charge the pay for play, so they went after him on 2 charges that should have been dropped. Chris said they didn't go after Trump over his tax charges. Listen, Chris, I agree that you are talking factual information. But just like I just got through telling the young people about the YSL trial, you don't get to commit crimes and then complain, oh, they came after me, but they didn't come after somebody else. I don't care that Hunter Biden got the pardon. His dad had the power. It was legal to do. Yay! Give Hunter a pardon. I'm mad that Joe came out and gave us that sorry excuse on why he did it and tried to make Hunter Biden seem like he wasn't guilty of the crime. He was. Oh, they just went after Hunter because he was my son. If Hunter was your son and didn't commit the crimes, they couldn't have went after him. Hunter admitted it. Hunter had a plea deal. So don't make it seem like that law enforcement or any agency is wrong for going after somebody that actually did the crime. Joe Biden insulted America by giving us the excuse that they only went after my son who committed crimes because he was my son. No, they went after your son who committed crimes. Some of them he was charged with, some of them he didn't. You can say, oh, if it had been anybody else, I beg to differ. Jay Dizzle said, yup, just pardon and shut up. And that's what I'm talking about right there. It's not that he gave the pardon. It's because as a Democrat, we can't stand around talking about, I hate when people do such and such. And then you turn around and did it. He should have popped his collar just like Trump would have did and say, hey, Article 2, Section 2 says I can pardon anybody for a federal crime, so I'm pardoning everybody. Listen to what he didn't do. See, because Chris and anybody else who feels like that there was a problem with the process, Joe Biden did not say, I am granting a full pardon. He went from 2014 to 2024. Matter of fact, I want this to represent in your mind. He said, I am giving a full and unconditional pardon for those offenses against the United States which he has committed or may have committed or taken part in during the period of January the 1st, 2014 through December the 1st, 2024, included but not limited to all offenses charged on or prosecuted. Chris, listen to what he did. He said he didn't just grant a pardon for what his son was accused of doing that you all are saying it was unfair. He said, I am granting a pardon for any crime he was either charged, may have done, did, do, or otherwise in this 10-year span against anybody in America. You want me to tell you why I got a problem with that, Chris? Not because he did it and not because he didn't have the power to do it. Let me tell you what he didn't do. He didn't say, I will grant a unconditional pardon to anybody who committed a similar crime between 2014 and 2024, the same 10-year period as Hunter Biden is accused for anything was those charges or less. I grant a full pardon to all of them because they may have been taken advantage of or the system shouldn't have done them that way. He didn't do that. Now, he wasn't required to, but let's call a spade a spade. You giving your son a pardon. Hold on. Chris said that's because they would go after him and keep digging to try to get him on something for revenge. Let me ask you a question, Chris. Would you say if a normal person accused of the same or similar crimes, remember, he did not just pardon him for those acts, he pardoned him for anything he is accused of or may have done from 2014 to 2024, meaning the pay for play or anything that they might try to come at. You're pardoning him for everything. Anything you could think of, I'm going to give him a pardon, right? Chris said we're not in normal times. You're right, Chris, but why didn't he pardon every other person who was convicted between 2014 and 2024 of similar crimes or less? Why didn't he do that? Chris said he might get accused of something in the coming years. Could be. Or his daddy already know he did some more stuff. All of it is irrelevant. James said he didn't do it because he didn't know him. You're right. And that's the whole point. If you're talking about fairness and you talking about somebody who committed those crimes would have never been put in jail, then why didn't you pardon every person who was accused of the same crimes or less? Because you said this wouldn't have got him jail time but for he being your son. So if you're being fair and you feel that way in your core and you have the power, why didn't you tell the attorney general, give me a list of everyone convicted between 2014 and 2024 of the same crimes that Hunter is alleged to have done or anything that I am pardoning him for, and I'm going to let everybody get off the hook. Because the new administration is not going after them. That's not an excuse. You said, Joe Biden said, that Hunter should not have been convicted but for he being his son. And that the charges he was convicted of, in no case would anybody else have gotten it. So then he could have said, anyone in America accused of the same crimes and or less who would normally not be in jail behind if they have been convicted and or sentenced, anything that they have done that meets that criteria, I am giving them a full pardon. But he didn't. The problem is you have the power. I don't have an issue with you doing it. I got an issue with your excuse for doing it. And I certainly have an issue that you only hooked up your son. Because if you say that they would have never gone after somebody else, then anybody else that they did go after should be free. Because you said they shouldn't have. Instead of just saying, hey, that's my boy, I don't care what he did, I'm going to pardon him. I don't care if you like it or not. It's one of the things I get to do, and I'm not going to let my son sit in jail and me be the president. He coming home when I go home. Matter of fact, he going home before Christmas. He could have did that. And we all, even if we didn't like it, we'd have been like, that's a pimp move. That's some respectable. He put that thing out there. But he tried to convince us that Hunter was a victim. Hunter was not a victim. Hunter committed the crimes. His dad was the president. He got convicted, and his dad gave him a pardon. And that, if you're going to say something, that should have been your statement. James said the new president wouldn't have shined anyone, only his peeps. Hey, again, I am not saying, and Donald Trump, you're right, he would have just hooked his people up. Matter of fact, no, he ain't. I guarantee y'all, we can put money on it right now. Donald Trump is going to pardon everyone convicted of January 6th crimes the 2 days after he get in office. I guarantee it. And that's people he don't even know. I promise you he gonna do it. So think to yourselves, and I'm saying this for the purposes of, it has nothing to do with political parties, but you can't say I got a problem with one person doing it and then not have a problem with the other. It is within the president's right to pardon anybody convicted of a federal crime. Joe Biden, Donald Trump, and every other president who pardoned somebody was within their rights. Donald Trump just wouldn't have came out with a bunch of excuses. He would have just said, hey, I thought he deserved to be pardoned, and kept it moving. Sometimes it ain't what you do, it's the excuse of what you do. And Joe Biden should have just, as Jay Dizzle said, pardoned him and shut up. You said, so what are we talking about? We're talking about the fact that they had the right to do it, but don't come in front of the cameras and try to make some flimsy excuse because you don't want the people to feel some kind of way about the fact that you did it. Just own it. I'm the president. I'm doing it because I don't want my son in jail. The end. Not all this. They targeted my son because he's my son and he should have never been sentenced. He should have never been gone after. Yes, he should have. You win some, you lose some. Your son rolled the dice while he was committing the crimes. Oh, he was just so high when he was doing it. You know how many folks in jail for doing something when they was high? A lot of them. And I don't want y'all to think that I'm beefing about Joe Biden executing the rights that he has as a president. I'm not. I just told you I'd have did the same thing. But I wouldn't have come out there and insulted America's intelligence by trying to make them think that my criminal son wasn't a criminal. I wouldn't make them say, oh, they just tried to get him because it was me. James in here right now talking about it was politics. It was a violation of the law. He got caught. Yeah, they went and got him. Good job. Go get Hunter Biden. See if you can flip him. They convicted him, and now his dad let him out. Great job, Joe Biden. Supposed to let your boy out. What's the purpose of being the president? I was mad at Obama. I didn't think Obama let enough people out. But he was worried about what people was going to say. But if I'm a parent of a son or daughter who is in jail for the same crimes that Hunter Biden committed or less, I feel some kind of way that my son or daughter is still incarcerated when you said as president, a normal person would have never got no jail time. So if my loved one is in jail, why didn't you pardon them too? Chris said they're going to try to prosecute Biden once he leaves office. No, they're not. Chris, let me tell you what they don't do. I've been dealing with this politic game for a long time. Everybody talks tough, but they don't really want to. Because they don't want to set a precedent. Just like they did not have the stomach to prosecute Trump, they do not have the stomach to do anything to a sitting or former president because they don't want to set that type of precedence. If they were willing to set that type of precedence, it would have already been done. And now that the House is 217 to 215, the 2/3 majority vote that it takes to do anything, they won't have. They don't have a supermajority to do anything in the Senate or in the House. Now, they're going to talk tough. That's what they're supposed to do. But that's not what they're going to do. It is politics. This is what happens on every cycle. But don't get it confused. You cannot complain about how one side does something and then turn around and try to make the American public believe something else. Anyway, people, look, it's time for me to get up off this show so I can get me some rest and relaxation. And I'll see you all next week. And I'm out.
It's about that time, baby. Oh, yeah. Here we go.